Hey folks, welcome back to another video. You join me at a little bouldering spot called Malda. The village itself, over there, church as always. Nice little spot. It's about 15 or 20 minutes east of Yeda. I'll show you the little craggy bit itself, up the muddy slope of doom. It's that claggy stuff that sticks to the bottom of your shoes. I'll go to the end so you get like the proper view of it. Nice little spot, not been before. Gently overhanging, shady. It is north facing, but you can walk into the sun really easily, which is nice. It's hard sandstone. It's a little bit smooth, not polished, but sometimes hard sandstone goes like that quite quick once that kind of initial bit of sand has gone off it, the gritty stuff, and you're left with something quite smooth. But holes seem pretty big. I've done a couple of easy ones to warm up. I came to do a traverse which starts here, font 7A, staying lowish all the way to the top out over there. I mean, it's font 7A, but I think it's more of a route by the look of it. I haven't tried it yet, so I don't have any moves, but it's a lot of moves. But I thought it'd be fun to do. Quite nice temps in the shade actually today. Today's video, a little bit different to my normal stuff. It's about the kit you need to go bouldering. Climbing can seem flipping costly to start with, can't it? Because it is, and it can be a bit prohibitive to some people. Bouldering is just a much cheaper way of getting into climbing in general. You don't have to progress beyond bouldering. If anything is progressing, it's a sport in its own right, isn't it? It's great fun. I'm not a boulderer. I boulder quite a lot, but I wouldn't call myself a boulderer. I do it as for fun, but you know, as kind of training and to improve my other bits of climbing. So I'm going to talk through like the bare minimum of stuff you need to go bouldering, and then there's a few extra bits that if you get into it you'll certainly want, but I'm not going to go into the level of people who take ladders and fans and heaters and stuff like that. That's beyond my psyche of bouldering. So you'll join me in a second, having set the camera up in the sun. I shall run through that stuff. When people first started bouldering, it really was kind of a means to an end. They would be going out because they couldn't go, you know, route climbing for whatever reason. It kind of progressed quite quickly into, you know, being training for climbing, so people could try hard moves, get some mileage, all that kind of stuff when they perhaps couldn't get a partner or for whatever other reason. Often those people back then, you know, bouldering pads hadn't been invented, so really all they'd take with them is, you know, their shoes, their rock shoes, chalk if they used chalk, because not everyone was into chalk back then, and just a towel, partly to stand on, but also to rub the bottom of the shoes, but to keep your shoes clean and dry. Two reasons. One, they'll stick to the rock better, but they help to sort of slow down the wear on the rock. Of course we wear the rock every time we pull on it and stand on it, but by rubbing grit and dirt into the rock, it's just going to exaggerate that, isn't it? So we need to be really careful at keeping our shoes nice and clean when we go bouldering. It could be said that that's all you need, and it could even be said that you don't even need that much. There's someone over in Font called Charles Albert. He doesn't even use rock shoes, and he climbs super hard. But we probably do want at least those things and a few other bits and pieces more. I bring everything to the crag in my Blue Ice Octopus. It's like one of these sort of suitcase style ones. It's just easy to get stuff in and out. But you don't even need that really, just an IKEA bag or any bag for life kind of thing. But it's nice, and you know, it's going to last a long time, something like this, isn't it? So it's probably more environmentally friendly in the long run, I suppose. But yeah, rock shoes, something that fits you well. You don't need to be specifically for bouldering. If you've got a pair already, just use them. If you get more into it, you probably want something a bit more bouldering focused. Often softer, depends on the kind of problems you're doing, but often softer, but the fit is the key really. So if you haven't got a pair, you're unsure what to get, go to a good outdoor shop like Outside, and they'll give you loads of good advice on, you know, what fits and what would be sort of suitable for what you want to do. I use these Evolve Phantoms, and they're super nice, soften up nicely, and they fit me really well. Fit is super important. I do use chalk. I am a chalk fan. I use a bouldering bucket full of chalk. It's just you get more in it. It's less faff than a chalk bag that you clip around you. I said I'm going to try this longer problem, so actually a chalk bag that clips around you might be useful for that. So you can chalk up mid problem, but normally the bucket is more of the way forwards. It's a bit more communal as well. If there's other people there, usually people are happy sharing. If you're there with a mate, don't just dip into random people's though, but I'm talking about your mates and stuff. And this one has a little pocket for brush. Like I said, cleaning your rock shoes, Clean the holds is good because it makes them grippier, but it's really important when you finish a problem or a session just to brush all the holds, get your chalk off them, brush any tick marks that you've left on there. It's really important to leave no trace. It's just antisocial not to do that. So brush everything when you're finished with it. And in between goes often to keep them nice and grippy. I've got a few different brushes, but that's the one that came to hand quickest. Also in here, I've got a little bag. I said I don't use a chalk bag as such, and I don't, but this one, boys off, this one just is my sort of bits and pieces bag. It's a Blue Ice one that they make from the offcuts of their rucksacks, so I quite like that idea. Really important to warm up bouldering though, and a TheraBand helps me do that. Bouldering can be pretty intense, so it would be really easy to injure yourself doing it, so make sure you warm up thoroughly, for me even before touching the rock, and then I do a few easy problems just to get moving and stuff before trying the main event. I also have some finger tape in here for any injury type stuff or just patching up little cuts and things like that. I've got a squeezy ball in there somewhere, or a squeezy ring rather, just to help warm up again really. You can even do that, you know, as you're walking in and stuff. Dog poo bags, you know, from a dog owner, you've always got dog poo bags on us, haven't we? And I just have a little emery board, don't need this either, but it gets rid of any rough skin which can sort of lead to flappers and stuff sometimes, so that can be quite helpful, but obviously absolutely not a necessity. I used to laugh at my mates for using them, but now I use them just as much. Other things in there are like just warm stuff. There's a lot of sitting around bouldering, so make sure you've got warm hat, warm drink, that kind of thing. Obviously I've got food and the Huel, because you know I'm a Huel fan, plenty of water, a little bowl for the dog. The only other thing of interest really is I've got a head torch in there just for, you know, sometimes you get sucked into a problem and you leave a little bit later than you expected to. Guidebook, I haven't got a guidebook here because I use a thing called 27 Crags while I'm here in Spain, because actually it's better for the bouldering in this area for sure, so that can be worth it, but you know, a guide of some sort or printed out topo. The thing I haven't mentioned yet is pads that I'm sat on. I'm sat on a Moon one. Nice pads. The one behind me is an organic one, even nicer and more money. If I was just starting, actually I'd buy a pad of this sort of size. I'll flash up the size because I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but they're both pretty similar. Wouldn't go smaller than these. I'd only buy one, and my first ever pad was second hand. I think it cost me like £40 or something like that, and it was fine. It was a bit battered, but it did the job. I'd start off with only one. You'll quickly, if you get into it, want more than one for sure, just because you can spread them out a bit more, obviously. The organic one being more money, it'll probably last a bit longer. The material's a bit tougher. It's got a thing called the load flap, which makes it easier to strap a couple together, which makes them easier to carry in and out of the crag. But some, you know, ratchet straps off somewhere like Amazon or wherever, they're only a few quid, and they do a great job. It could be even cheaper though if you're, you know, down the wall when you're indoors and stuff. Make some friends there, get chatting to people, get yourself invited out bouldering with them, and then, you know, you don't even need to take the pads with you. Pads, you know, they are quite expensive, like in the hundreds normally. So if you can just, you know, tag along with some mates to start with, and if you do get into it, then you can buy your own pad, can't you? And then, like I say, it's a slippery slope. These are the things I take by default, plus obviously my like camera stuff, which is one of the reasons I got a slightly bigger bag and all that. But you don't necessarily need all those if you are tagging along with some other people, but you will need things like rock shoes and chalk, just to, you know, your personal kit, as I would call it. I don't take things like a clipstick personally. Lots of people will. The Pongoose clipstick that I use has a thread on it which matches their Pongoose brush, so you can, you know, reach up high and brush things you can't otherwise get. Some people will go another step beyond, and they'll have things like a ladder to brush high holds or check out holds before they commit. They'll take a fan to the crag, you know, one of those kind of work ones, so they can dry holds. They'll take a heater to the crag so they can either dry hands or holds as well. I'm just not that into bouldering. That's why I said the phrase slippery slope a minute ago, because once you get into it, you can really get into it, can't you? But that's the kind of stuff that I take. I hope that was some interest. I do love the idea that you can go out bouldering for a lot less than trad climbing, and you know, that could just be it. You could be a boulderer for life, and that's a brilliant thing to be, isn't it? Or it might just be that like almost gateway drug and get you hooked onto route climbing, and that's equally a brilliant thing. Whatever you're having fun doing, it's all good, isn't it? Chuck those questions in the comments below. Happy to answer as best I can. A slightly different video, I know, but hopefully it's been of some interest. Click the like button, smash the subscribe button, find us on Insta, follow us on Facebook, use the Buy Me a Coffee link. All the support, as always, massively appreciated. I'm going to keep saying that forever, I think. As always, though, thanks very much for watching. More videos coming up very soon.